In the previous video I gave you 1 over x. And asked you to find the radius r. So in this video I'm going to show you how to solve the same problem but from a different perspective. So let's start out with a circle. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. So that will give you a circle centered at the origin of radius r. So now translate it across to the right by the radius, and then that will give you this circle, and then translate it upwards by the radius again. So that will move the circle up by r. So you move it across by r, you move it up by r, and the radius is also r. So for example, let me illustrate in Desmos. So punches in 1 over x. R is reserved within Desmos. So Desmos uses R for something else. So I'm going to use A. So let A punches in, and it will give you a circle of radius A. And then as you vary it, you're actually moving the circle across by A, and then move it up by A, and the radius is also A. So as you slide A back and forth, it will give you this circle. So your job is to find the radius, which is A, such that it will be located at 1, 1. So you can see it's roughly around 0.6, roughly around there. So our job is to find A precisely, A or R. So here I'm using R to represent the radius, but in Desmos I'm going to use A to represent R, because R is being used by Desmos for something else. Okay, so we've got this equation at the moment. But the thing is, I want this circle to pass this precise point 1, 1. That's this point here. So I'm going to put, so remember, this is your x, this is your y. So I'm going to put 1 into the x, and then I'm going to put 1 into the y. That will then give us this. So really our job is to find a radius such that this side equals this side. So what that means is our job is to find the radius, remember A is the radius, such that it passes through 1, 1. That's really us trying to solve this. So now you can see that this is exactly the same as this. So it's just like saying 1 elephant plus another elephant. That will be 2 elephants. So that will then take us to here. Now multiply this out. So when you multiply this out, it will then give you this, and then multiply this out. So that will then give us this thing here. So now you've got 2r squared, and then you've got r squared on this side. So in your mind, take away r squared from both sides. That will then give you, well, 2r squared becomes r squared, 1r squared. So now that will then give you this. Let me just quickly rearrange this so that you're familiar. So it makes it easier to complete the square. So once you're here, you can use whichever method you want. This is really a quadratic. This side equals 1. So you can use a quadratic formula if you want, or use whichever method you want. For me, I'm going to complete the square. So to complete the square, my eyes should zoom into this, and it's always going to be half of this. And then you take away this thing squared, and then you move this thing down. Well, use whichever method you want. Complete the square. That will then give you r equals this. So what that means is the radius is 2 plus root 2, or it can be 2 minus root 2. If you look at plus root 2, it will, so what that means is if you move across by the radius, move it up by the radius, and the radius is actually the radius r, it will pass through 1, 1. This is 1, 1, by the way. 1, 1. So here it satisfies the situation where you've got a circle, move it across, move it up, and the radius is also r. It will pass through 1, 1. You can see that here. But it turns out that this is not what we want. We actually want this circle over here, where the radius is 2 minus root 2. So here, if you can see you move it across by the radius, move it up by the radius. The radius is actually the radius, and it does actually pass through 1, 1. So here, our solution is this. This one here is not what we're after. So this is your final answer. Okay.